how Kendrick Lamar just saved hip hop. I got this live. Shout out to the homies for fantastic hip hop
moment that Kendrick Lamar's Pop Out concert was. Well, for most people,
Facts.
they're going to remember this performance as a celebration of Kendrick Lamar's victory in one of the biggest rap beefs of all time.
Facts. And I was there live. And if you want to see the vlog, go join the Patreon, bro. It's me and Screwface. It was crazy.
Drake took so that it will haunt his reputation and legacy forever.
Facts.
Aside from just cooking Drake.
Ooh, I want to know, actually, what do you guys think? Do you think that this is a recoverable loss for Drake? Like, is it something that he can come back from, or is it over? Like, I think J. Cole, he took a hit, and he'll feel it for a long time. No Diddy. But he can come back. If he just gives us great work, he can come back. Drake, do you feel like it's always going to be different? I want to know what the people think. You know, man, the people
not
but
something
equal.
Else that shifted the tides in hip-hop that went down at this show that when we look at in the entirety of the genre, you could very well argue is much more important. Now, what I am talking about is, of course, the absolute display this concert was for the West Coast in hip-hop as before the show and the entire beef. The general sentiments around the rap world was that the West Coast had fallen off, and between somebody like Roddy Ricch never becoming the superstar people thought he would after the success of his 2019 album, Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial, and of course, the loss of Nipsey Hussle, who really was the face of the West Coast when it came to
what a lot of niggas don't know is how important that loss of Nipsey Hussle was. I think Nipsey Hussle passing, to me, more than any artist, felt like a Biggie or Pocket. I'm not comparing death, and I'm not comparing tragedy or sadness, but I just mean one of those things where if you got this guy tatted all over you, I'd totally understand it. Because Nipsey, like Tupac, stood for a lot more than just his music, and his music was very great, both of them, but Nipsey was a figure of independence, of rising above what people might see as you can make it no matter what is the best thing. Is one of the things that Nipsey showed us. And when Nipsey passed, especially passing in his hood in front of the store, was a terrible look for the West. Of course it was, you know, and niggas was grieving it. Niggas was grieving it like they lost a friend. And I don't think people on the outskirts of hip-hop, just looking in, understand what it meant to our culture when we lost Nipsey Hussle. That's facts.
Representing the region to the rest of the world. With unfortunate events like these, and the fact that rappers like Kendrick Lamar and Schoolboy Q were becoming less active, the West Coast was being labeled as a region in hip-hop that was on the downfall, and that would never regain the former glory.
I don't know about that. Like, I don't know if we looked at it like West Coast was, definitely the West Coast was cold, but being cold and being on a downfall, maybe it's just me being like a nitpicker of words, but when I say on a downfall, it means like we're moving. The West Coast was just cold as regions get. The South has been hot for a long time, but if you look at it, even Atlanta is cooling down, and it's now shifting to the West Coast. I think what people forget is, like, when I first started listening to rap, the East Coast was the most popular. But if you look a couple of years before that, the West Coast was the most popular. Then the Midwest, when you started having acts like Nelly and Chingy and shit like that little era, right? Kanye West. And then Chicago, Midwest. And then Atlanta got it, and nigga, they got it. They went on a LeBron run where it's like 20 years, where some people might not have noticed, like, or forgot, damn, it always is going to shift. Now, I think we see the West coming back. But am I just being nitpicky? I don't think the West was on a downfall. I think because it's been so long since Nipsey. When Nipsey passed, yeah, but I think it had bottomed out.
That it had either in the 2010s or all the way back in the 90s, but now with this concert, Kendrick Lamar has flipped this narrative on its head. Back in the 90s.
God, look at those catalogs.
And that would never regain the former glory that it had either in the...
God, look at these catalogs. I just think it's like, let these niggas come up. Let these niggas come up. Let the Rayvons come up. I believe Rayvon will be a future face of hip-hop. It's just these niggas, he's not going to surpass Drake and Kendrick and Cole while they're actively cooking. But when they leave and there becomes that power vacuum, my beliefs was J.I.D., Akeem Ali is the nigga that a lot of people ain't even hip to. I think he's going to be one of them ones. And not Russell. Ray Vaughn 100% could be one of them niggas. It's not gonna be easy, but it will be very possible.
The 2010s or
respect
all the way back
and
in the 90s,
rap,
but
and
now
he's
with
not
this
corny.
concert, Kendrick Lamar has flipped this narrative on its head. Now, towards the end of the pop-out
all
concert,
generations
Kendrick
will like
himself talked about how the goal of everything that went down and the show he just had was not to battle a single artist who he had problems with, but it was once again to unite the West Coast, shine some brightness on an area that is still dealing with the losses of legends like Nipsey Hussle and Kobe Bryant, and overall, show how much stronger regions
Damn,
hip-hop.
man. And you gotta know the West took some real losses. Nigga, Nipsey and, nigga, I wasn't even thinking about Kobe.
Or when artists
You gotta understand that, like, for those of us who are in hip-hop, right, you understand that this is actually a moving, breathing, living thing. You look at hip-hop and it changes and it moves with the times, and there's so many things that impact it. Like, bro, Kobe, Allen Iverson, Shaq, LeBron, Steph, these are people who transcended past their sports and become cultural icons in our cultures too, outside of just the sports world. And damn, I didn't even think about Kobe. I Peter the Mamba, nigga.
What one another are doing. And when it comes to accomplishing this, Kendrick pulled something off that will have a very long-lasting impact that is definitely going to help architect the immediate future in hip-hop.
I love how this guy does his videos. I always gotta shout this nigga out. Fantastic hip-hop. I like how he does his videos because he gives a real, like, History Channel approach to rap shit, and I just appreciate that you appreciate the culture that much, that you hold the culture to such a high standard that you do your research and you do your shit. You look at certain channels like that, it's like Hip Hop Daily and shit, man. Those niggas be flat out lying in their shit. But you look at something like this nigga's fire. He cares. You can tell he actually gives a fuck.
Now, the pop-out concert did definitely shut down Drake and hand him an eternal L by just showing every single thing he tried to diss Kendrick about as being a sheer and utter lie.
Yes.
But in the greater sense, when we look at the bigger
picture... You know who
picture
really bang a gang? My nigga Chris Brown. That is historically the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
of this moment and the entire feud. While Kendrick Lamar has definitely had over a decade-long standoff with Drake, genuinely despises him, and has wanted to prove once and for all that they should never be put in the same
Decade-long, notice
conversation.
that.
When we look at every step he has taken in this beef, while this is all true, it
That
only
nigga
seems
can't
to be
even-
really half of his motivation for doing all this, because while he definitely wanted this matchup with Drake to step over him in this feud for the ages, I think we
I don't care what nobody says. This nigga Kendrick Lamar is a crazy person. And somebody told me, it's like, you can just look at Kendrick Lamar's eyes sometimes and know he'll look crazy. Of course, bro, you don't rap that good and just be normal, my nigga. So if you, like, if we're gonna call that crazy, we call it crazy. Fuck yeah, man, this nigga on the roof doing jail push-ups. That's my nigga right there, boy. He on the roof doing jail push-ups. This nigga, a Drake getting his fingers painted. Like I said earlier in one of my other videos, morally, just for who I am as a man, it's hard for me not to see this and go, oh, this is what we're championing again? It's no more getting girls BBLs and getting BBLs ourselves. That's not what we're doing. Okay, we're doing this as a culture. Dope, I like this.
can put together that he also knew that it would take a musical conflict of this magnitude and scale to pull together what ultimately was just as, and arguably is more important to him, which was to unite his city. And to do this, he needed to bring everyone together through one common enemy, and while Kendrick just going at Drake would have probably done most of the heavy lifting for this alone, the fact that Drake was using the legacy and likeness of who is considered the face of West Coast hip-hop historically in Tupac in this feud as a sort of pawn that he can play around with and go as far to create a fake version of to rap as. This alone already...
I'm not gonna lie, in the moment, I wasn't that mad at it, but then, like, later, you know, me and Screw be talking about shit, me and just, like, you know, we talk about shit between me and my subs, like, on the comments and DMs on Discord, and the more I thought about it, I was just like, God, I do hate AI as is, and Tupac's AI, why do we let this Canadian nigga do that? That was the one thing where, because I don't hate Drake, right? But that is the one thing I regret in my reaction history, not at the time realizing how nasty it was. I think we were just all in such a having fun ass, thinking there's diss tracks dropping this shit. It's funny. It is funny. And it's like, oh shit, Kevin Pike's nigga crazy and shit. Pac saying this and that. And then I look back, I'm like, nigga, you got an AI Tupac for this bullshit? I'm talking about your pedophilia and shit. Like, bro, what is going on, man? PDF
did most of the damage in of itself, and as Kendrick started fully firing at Drake, this was the exact angle he built off to call out Drake and use as much ruthless lyrical force as he did on a cut like Euphoria. I mean, just from the line in Euphoria where Kendrick talks about not letting a Canadian disrespect Pac, from the conviction and hostility in his voice alone, a moment like this was able to gain Kendrick the support that he needed to really turn the public against Drake. And overall, when we look at Kendrick's first full-on response track and see that expanding on this angle, Kendrick would go on to talk about how guys like Drake and a lot of the industry does not like the West Coast, period, with some short but very direct bars that really punched in the general disrespect that it felt there was a...
And I will say this about the West Coast. You're correct. Most people outside of the West Coast don't like the West Coast. And it's just the extortion. Let's be completely honest. That is the only thing, because everybody wants to love the West Coast. Nigga, it's California. It's all that. Nigga, we want to love the West Coast. It's just the gangs and shit get to extorting people so much that it makes you be like, oh, come on, fuck this. That's why people would rather deal in, although there is extortion that comes in the South, because of our gun laws, it's a little harder to extort somebody opposed to in California. Now, you can come to Texas to visit and leave with a strap. You go to California and get a strap and see if you don't see your grandkids when visiting you through that glass wall. What are you talking about? So that do be the one thing, like I'm not gonna just, let's address some other bullshit that be happening. Niggas be getting extorted a lot. You go to Cali and it's like, what you gonna do? You don't got no blickadoo on you. These niggas do. They 30, 40 deep. Niggas talking about you gotta check in and shit. Now, niggas do got connections. Niggas do got homies. Niggas don't have to get extorted when niggas go to the West Coast, right? But that is why so many people, that's never happened to me, but I'm saying that is why so many artists do have a disdain for the West Coast. It's just that y'all niggas be extorting niggas. But like, and Kendrick even said he would extort Drake. And like, Brick Baby told DJ Academics I'd have you paying my rent. It's like, that is a part of what happens. And think about it, like, West Coast niggas, put yourself in other people's shoes. Now, if y'all think about it and you go, I don't give a damn if they don't like it, that's fine. Do as you do. I was just giving some advice. You know what I'm saying? Don't extort me. We still cool.
Around the region, it only further
I like coming out there.
The coast to unite and prove these sentiments wrong. And beyond just this, with Kendrick tapping in with some of the biggest West Coast producers out there during the feud, like with The Alchemist on Meet the Grams, and of course DJ Mustard on Not Like Us.
And then the problem, another thing is y'all like to extort niggas. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Maybe I just got too much respect for this shit. I couldn't go to the neighborhood in Compton that Bobby Aleph was. And more than likely, Bobby Aleph would be safe then. I'd be like, why? At least do it to everybody. Be fair. Be fair. If y'all go...
in all of these West Coast artists right into the feud behind him, Kendrick brought everyone together even more through the connection of their musical ecosystem. And while the names and stakes would have done this alone, Kendrick also making Not Like Us a track that is the spitting image of the West Coast only further solidified this, as from one of the most infectious instrumentals out there from DJ Mustard to the vocal style and flows Kendrick was bouncing through on this track, which were adjacent to the way the one and only E40 raps. Kendrick laid out everything during this beef masterfully to not just get ahead of Drake, but to unite.
And during the show, if you want to go see the show, vlog is on Patreon. E40 starts Kendrick's set. You can hear his voice over the intercom.
And have his entire
fire, bro.
And with this concert, he only made all these people who were already on his side solidify their support for him and send this message to the rest of the world. So at the pop-out concert, all under the unity and momentum of the Drake beef, Kendrick Lamar was able to get more stars in a single...
LeBron and Lil Wayne's son was in there. Nigga, but it's like, and then you smash Wayne, girl, apologize, and that nigga was definitely singing that.
Building than most events could ever gather, and with each passing moment the show went on. Rappers and even other artists and celebrities were not just showing who they sided with in the feud, but with all eyes on the coast waiting to see how Kendrick was going to embarrass Drake next. He was able to show the world that despite the setbacks the region has faced and all the disrespect it has gotten in recent years, the music coming out of it is still great, and when it comes to the talent that this region has to offer, There are few other places in hip-hop that can match. One of the best parts about the show was just seeing people fall in love or even rediscover how good and versatile the West Coast is as a region.
Facts!
There is so
bro,
much.
There's so much that they do from so many different angles. Because like I said, bro, it's great weather, it's palm trees, it's bad bitches, it's fun, it's expensive, but it's lit. You know what I'm saying? It's great. And there's so many different artists, from the YGs to the Tyler, the Creators, to the Kendrick Lamar himself, to the E40. Nigga, it sounded like so many different genres of music. Like, if you go to a drill concert, there's about 3 ways people make drill. You get the auto-tune singy way, you get the super dark, aggressive way, and then you have the, like, more lyrical way. There's only 3 types of drill. You'll probably hear a combination of these 3 in some way. When you go to a West Coast show, nigga, you don't know what you're gonna hear. You don't know what, from dance music to gangster shit to super dope shit to super lyrical shit to like radio sounding blast and shit like that. Radio sounded wicked to what's his name? Not The Weeknd, the nigga who not Travis Scott, the nigga who looks like Travis Scott, bro. Can somebody tell me his name? I want to say Kid Cudi. I'm about to be so mad.
Much fantastic stuff going on in the coast, and now with the eyes on it again to see what it really is.
Alexa, who sings Or Nah? Yeah, bitch ain't working. Hold on. I'm not gonna. My bad.
To offer. The region had its chance to soar up the power rankings and show that the future is bright, and they did just that. Now, whether this was because
Ty
of
Dolla
like
Signs,
Westside Boogie and Jason Martin setting things off right, as they came with some of the best performances that artists who are getting the most exposure of their career possibly could, or melodic rappers like Blast, who showed his incredible vocal range and versatility, to even Ty Dolla Sign, who after the run he has been on this year, seeing him back in touch with his roots just reminded the world of how artistically expansive the names from this
and he started DJ's
every time somebody stepped on the
producing.
stage during the show.
Rowdy.
The world was being reminded that despite what they have been told, the West Coast has some of the best hip-hop talent out there.
And so it's hard for me. It's like, I understand why people say that, but like, it's hard for me to say that the West Coast was going down. I feel like it bottomed out and it was heading back up. Because even if Roddy Ricch doesn't reach where he's supposed to be, he still pushed it forward. Blast is pushing it forward. Ty Dolla Sign is pushing forward. Although I forgot Ty Dolla Sign was from the West Coast, I'm gonna be real. And Tyler, the Creator, I forgot that nigga was from the West Coast too. I don't know why.
Went on. This was only proven more by not just the sheer skill and presence some of the stars who graced the stage had, but also by just the sheer variety within the lineup. During the Heart of Mustard set, we got to witness one of the most exciting sequences in recent concert history, as we saw multiple artists come on so quickly and just tear the building up.
They all did about 2 to 3
Lacy,
songs.
who froze the crowd with his transcending voice, to then the one and only Tyler, the Creator, who lit up the building in one of the most exciting moments of the entire night, as in support of Kendrick and the Coast, he played tracks like What's Your Name and Earthquake. And then following this,
Tyler
Rich came out and performed, and with all
and he had the longest set,
and the way he moved the crowd, it seemed like he got people ready for a full-fledged comeback from him.
I swear that's what it felt like.
Tribute.
Come on!
He closed this set off performing some of the most hard-hitting tracks any 2010 rapper has ever delivered.
He was.
Now, as all of these stars were literally just opening for Kendrick, when you look at the fact that songs from this album and this album were played on the same stage together, but also the fact that the unity and support these artists have is strong enough that even somebody like Tyler, the Creator, whose last 2 albums have won Best Rap Album at the Grammys, and who literally just headlined the biggest music festival in the world in Coachella, would do something like this. Overall, just shows this rarely found unified spirit and support the West Coast has for each other that most other regions don't. And during Kendrick's
don't do that. The South, we hold each other down out here.
Circle in the most powerful way possible, as Kendrick reunited with the entirety of his Black Hippie collective in jail.
That was fire.
Schoolboy,
even though Absol didn't do a song, niggas said, and I don't like people try to push that narrative. Also, that Absol was like on drugs or drunk or something. I didn't see that. We also got to remember, you know, I'm not saying this is why, but Absol has a few health things too. Not saying that's why. I have nothing to confirm that. But before you start, like, you remember what we was doing to, was it Chadwick Boseman? Niggas be putting that on him like he just quick to you on. Before, you don't know what people are going through. So stay the fuck out my comments with that bullshit. Don't be just assuming people are doing wrong. Like, how do you know that? Especially when we know you got health problems. Because now you go, oh, we miss you, Chadwick. But you on a nigga's dying days. I'm not saying he is at all, but I'm just saying be aware of that when y'all do that goofy ass shit. Like, Chadwick Boseman had to be insulted before he. Don't stop doing that. You're not welcome here to do that shit. I think that shit is so lame, bro. I think it's so lame.
It showed that even all these years later, Kendrick's closest collaborators
now you got pop out and show
right
niggas
to support him in his biggest moments. And if this wasn't enough, when Dr. Dre came out and performed Still Dre, California Love, and of course did the intro for Not Like Us, which in a show of so many highlights still managed to be one of the best moments. These full circle moments that were seen during the show, from Dr. Dre to even E40, who did the narration during the concert. All in all, when you see this lineage all coming together, Kendrick was able to make the West Coast the ultimate place in hip-hop right now by uniting so much musical greatness together under one shared spirit.
Yeah, the West Coast is up on the South right now.
Concert with a moment where Kendrick and everybody else from Compton did their own rendition of the To Pimp a Butterfly cover, and
this is probably the best picture in hip-hop ever. This is the only picture I've ever seen that you could ever say is like this dope. Was it Ali or Tyson? I think it might be Tyson. And he has Jack Nicholson and Magic Johnson. And he has all those people, and they're walking down in MGM. That might have been Tyson. But that picture, and this might be the hardest picture of all time. Of all time.
And with all of these moments that will be remembered for a very long time, culminating through the essence of this one photo, Kendrick has brought the West Coast to a place where it's more unified than it ever has been. And at this point, in this current moment in time where Kendrick is on pace to have the biggest streaming year of his career and may still drop another album, DJ Mustard is about to drop a brand new record led by his single with Travis Scott, Parking Lot, which is dope, and you should definitely check it out if you want to listen to a nice summer. I haven't even heard it. Dr. Dre is rumored to release not just a new solo album, but he and Snoop Dogg are working on a sequel to their classic project, Doggy Style.
I don't like that. But it's your art, you choose. But I always hate when they come back to another, like How High 2, a DC Young Fly. Like, if that was a whole different movie, I could say it was just a trash hood movie that I could maybe enjoy on some high shit. But now when you put it against How High, that's a classic, I go,
Vince Staples just released some of the best albums of the year with their respective records, Blue Lips and Dark Times. Roddy Ricch now has momentum for a full-on comeback. So many other artists are getting more attention than they ever have been and are getting ready to release new music after getting so many eyes on them from this massive moment. And younger stars like Baby Keem are crafting their next musical ventures, which could shake up the entire genre. Overall, the West Coast in hip-hop has great artists from the past, present, and future making music right now, and with their shared spirit and unity the region is echoing. That's only ever been felt in a hip-hop region like this in few other moments. It's safe to say that Kendrick Lamar has made the West Coast a musical powerhouse again, and that the region may just have its greatest musical era next. So let me know, what do you think of what Kendrick Lamar has done for the West Coast, and what artist are you most...
This was a certified vibe check. What does PG Lang stand for? Drop that in the comments. Did I say this video has a 1,000 thumbs up goal? So hit that thumbs up button. KBD family, love you. Keep comes another reaction by me here. Ping, music video by me right there. Pow, click on it. Show me some love. You watch me this long, you didn't hit the thumbs up button. Your hoe. So stop being a hoe. KBD family.